It's time to break down season 3, episode 4, or chapter 20 of Disney Plus and Star Wars' The Mandalorian. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, ring the bell to break down The Mandalorian. Today, this new episode, break down what happened, what I liked, what I didn't like, what I'm excited for, as we are finally at the halfway point of season 3 of The Mandalorian. So if you're new to the channel, please subscribe, ring the bell. I do this breakdown every single Wednesday, as well as other movie reviews, TV show reviews, movie rankings, and box office breakdown show every single week. So please subscribe, ring the bell if you're new to the channel, comment down below. What are your thoughts on this episode? How do you feel that we're at the halfway mark of this season? What do you want to see in the final 4 weeks of The Mandalorian on Disney Plus? Also, please like the video, guys. The thumbs up button. That's how you support this channel. So this was as I said, the halfway point of this new season, directed by Carl Weathers, who did direct episode, I think 1 or 2 episodes in the previous season. He was not in this episode physically as an actor, but he was obviously behind the camera. And after getting our longest episode, not just of the season, but the entire show, nearly an hour long, we get the shortest episode of the season so far, 32 minutes with all of those credits, including the intro, the recap, and the credits. So near like 25-minute episode of The Mandalorian. And the beginning of this episode got me very nervous. We kind of start with a really nice, cute little thing with Grogu going up against a foundling in training. The foundling doesn't take Grogu seriously. The foundling goes up 2-0 in this kind of like paintball situation. And Mando's like, show him who you truly are. And he does the kind of the Yoda force leap a couple times and wins. And this is when that kid gets taken by a huge creature. And Mando, and led by Bo-Katan and a lot of Mandalorians, try to go after this creature. Now, this is where I thought this would be a really bad episode, because I knew based on the Disney Plus screen that it would be around 30 minutes with credits. And I felt right off the bat that this could be a straight filler episode of The Mandalorian, a throwaway episode, but that does not happen as we continue along. So, led by Bo-Katan, they lead a group, as well as Paz Vizsla, who we'll get into later in the episode, and Mando. They go after to try to found this foundling, and we see that the episode is called The Foundling. That's why I was like, okay, we're going to center around that kid, but we center around Grogu with the armorer, and this is where Grogu is going to get this new patch that really will protect him. As we usually do, we get memories when they build this thing, and we finally see what actually happened to Grogu in Order 66. It was talked about briefly by Ahsoka in last season. We got a little flash of it in the book of Boba Fett. We get the full version here. Grogu escapes after all these Jedi were trying to protect him. All these clone troopers are killing him. And we're going to see who the Jedi is. And it's a Jedi played by Ahmed Best, which from a Star Wars point of view was really nice to see. And really, like, I had chills. It was a huge moment, I think. And I think a lot of people might be disappointed that it's not a legacy character that they're familiar with. Again, if you're not familiar, Ahmed Best is the actor who played Jar Jar Binks in the prequel trilogy. And he got a lot of abuse online, really from the moment that from the first film came out, Phantom Menace, all the way through the prequels. And that really tarnished a lot of his acting roles following the prequels. And he did play this Jedi, I think, at like the theme parks or something like that. And now they bring that Jedi who he played kind of off-brand back into the Star Wars lore as the person who took Grogu off world. So he kind of saves Grogu. Got a lot of great Star Wars Easter eggs here. Again, we don't see Anakin Skywalker here. It's not Mace Windu. It's not Obi-Wan Kenobi who takes him. It's a nameless Jedi. He's named, but a Jedi who we're not familiar with. But it was a great moment if you knew it was Ahmed Best. I can kind of understand some confusion if fans don't know who that actor was. But for me, I knew who Ahmed Best was. And I think it was a great moment for him. And it's a really tip of the cap from Dave Filoni, who obviously adores that time period, and George Lucas's area of the prequels, to bring him in to do this little role. And he had a lot of badass Jedi stuff that it involved. We see that Naboo ship that we saw in the prequels, the Naboo kind of helpers who we saw Padme with in the first 2 movies. The blasters noises sounded the same as the prequels. So there's a lot of good stuff there. So that's how we find out where Grogu was kind of taken. The armor kind of puts it on Grogu, and then we cut back to the back half of the episode, which is Mando, Bo, and Paz and other Mandalorians trying to save this youngling. We get this great scene where Bo is definitely leading this mission. They're using her ship, her tactics. It even leads to a nice scene where they're going to eat food. And, Mando, she's like, how are we going to eat food if we can't take our masks off? And she's really starting, you can tell a bit, kind of trying to learn the ways of this group. And he's basically like, we walk off somewhere by ourselves and take the mask off to eat. And right about she's about to Paz kind of stops her and says, you get because it's your mission and you're leading us, you get the honor of staying by the fire and taking your mask off. So she takes her mask off, she eats. I thought it was a really good scene. This then leads to them climbing off this wall. Great shots from Carl Weathers. It looks, I know it might not be there in the volume, but it looks very practical. Obviously not them climbing up a huge mountain, but climbing up something. So it did look physical for them. As they get up, we learn right as they get up and they're about to get into this nest of this creature that Paz says that that's my son. I think that added a lot more layers because Paz has been a very much closed off member of this group from all the way back from season 1. Again, Paz Vizsla, voiced by Jon Favreau, and the long list of Vizslas with Prey Vizsla that Favreau even voiced in Clone Wars. So another Vizsla, of course, is happening, but Vizsla is trapped and his dad goes after him. And obviously there's 3 babies that attack. And this leads to a big fight with the big one with all the Mandalorians going after it. And it's kind of like Empire Strikes Back on Hoth, where they use wires to kind of destroy it. And then very much Jurassic World, like the creature falls into the water and is eaten by a larger creature. So, and I love the scene where Mando's kind of holding the son and then Paz kind of like rips him away and hugs him. And Mando says, this is the way. And obviously this is the way. So we go back to the world and she's like, Clan, and the armor to Bo is like, Clan Creeds would be really proud that you did one of the most honorable things you can do, which is saving a foundling. So Bo also loses an armor in this fight. Obviously, the Night Owl is on her other one. And the armor is basically like, do you want another Night Owl? That's totally cool. And Bo's like, actually, I'll do a Mythosaur. And then as she's building it, she's kind of like, have you, I saw a Mythosaur. And the armor really plays it off like it's a dream for her or it's not real because she's like, yeah, it's things play tricks when you're in the depths of Mandalore. And she physically saw a Mythosaur who has not been seen, honestly, in centuries. And she obviously gets the thing of the Mythosaur, but clearly Armor does not believe that she physically saw a Mythosaur. So that will also be interesting on who is right on both of these. Obviously, we saw Bo's point of view, which I think probably could be the right one, that she did physically see a Mythosaur. But it'll be interesting actually if they make it maybe take a turn that she didn't. But it does seem like they're setting up for an eventual. I'm not sure Bo to be the villain of the show at all, or even antagonist, but she is getting very much deep into this culture, and she is by far and away the most compelling part of the show. Mando doesn't have too much really going on after episode 2, after he redeemed himself, and honestly, he's one of the least interesting parts of the show, which is not a problem for me. He's great. Pedro Pascal is great. The other actors who play him physically are great. Grogu's great. But for me, Bo is the most interesting part of the show. Now, also comes from me who's seen Clone Wars a billion times, seen Rebels a billion times. Literally just rewatched Rebels about a month ago for the 3rd or 4th time. So I love Bo, but she is so compelling in this show. She's gone through so much and seen so many different clans of Mandalorians. And seeing her kind of adopt this has been kind of interesting, but the question is, when is that switch going to turn that she wants that Darksaber from Mando fair and square and wants to rule Mandalore? It will be interesting. We're at the halfway point. I'm very interested to see where the show goes moving forward. We've not gotten Giancarlo Esposito as Moff Gideon, who we know will be in the show at some point. Will we see Ahsoka Tano in the show? I think there's a way that they really could plug in, maybe setting up the Ahsoka show that's coming out. They can do like a Book of Boba Fett thing where they can even do a post-credit scene setting up the Ahsoka show coming out later this year. But it is very much Mandalorian mythology driven, which is why I think I'm really enjoying this season. As of now, it has not hit the heights of seasons 1 and 2, but we are still in for, I am sure, tons of surprises in the final 4 episodes. So I don't want to make a claim that this is bad or worse or better than other seasons. I want to finish off the season, then I'll give my general thoughts on it. But I'm enjoying the season of Mandalorian. Happy that it's back and I'm watching it every single Wednesday, but sad there's only 4 more left here in the season. So that's my breakdown on the new episode of The Mandalorian. Subscribe, comment. More videos are coming. Even today, I just did a review of Shazam! Fury of the Gods in non-spoiler form. Thursday, tomorrow, you'll get my spoiler breakdown of the new episode of The Bad Batch as we're heading down the home stretch of that show as well. Friday, you'll get my spoiler review of Shazam! Fury of the Gods. I'll break down all the spoilers and the post-credit scenes. Monday, you'll get my box office breakdown show. Tuesday, you'll get my review of John Wick Chapter 4. And then back here on Wednesday, we're going to break down the new episode, Chapter 21 of The Mandalorian. So thanks for joining me, and I'll see you guys soon.